Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment. I am back for my NFL Week 15 picks and predictions. I have to apologize because last week I was not able to make my picks and predictions as I had an interview with Amazon last week on Wednesday when I normally make these videos. The interview went well. I got the internship and I will be interning for Amazon this summer. But for right now, we're talking about the NFL. We're talking about Week 15 of the 2017-18 NFL season. A lot of interesting games this week as we approach the 2017-18 NFL playoffs. Let's start with the Thursday night football game as we have the Denver Broncos at the Indianapolis Colts. And I am not going to watch this game, as you probably won't watch it either. Look, who gives a crap? Okay, you have the Denver Broncos, who, yes, they won last week. Okay, they won last week for the first time in I don't know how many weeks, but no one really cares about their football team right now. I don't care about their quarterbacks, their running backs, their wide receivers are still good, but their team is just really boring right now. They're not good, who cares? And then the Indianapolis Colts, by Jacoby Brissett, who can play all right. Frank Gore is going to retire soon. T.Y. Hilton could do some things, but I mean, come on, this is not a very interesting game. However, I have to pick it. Okay, and I'm going to pick the Indianapolis Colts to win this game. They're at home. They're in Indianapolis. And I like to pick home teams on Thursday night football games as long as they're good enough. And I think the Colts are slightly better than the Broncos. Not much, but slightly. And they're at home. So I'll pick the Indianapolis Colts to win this game. The next game, we have the Saturday games. We have two Saturday games this week. You have the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. And the Lions got it done last week, I believe, in Tampa Bay. They went to Tampa Bay and got it done. They beat Jameis Winston and the really unimpressive Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, I was impressed because I thought the Bucs were going to win that game, and the Lions have the opportunity to win this game in Detroit. Now, be careful because Chicago surprised me last week as they went to Cincinnati and they whooped the Bengals' asses. I couldn't believe that result. I don't see lightning striking twice. I see the Lions winning this game and the Bears not winning two straight games on the road. But the Bears are looking somewhat better. But again, as I said before the season, I said Bears fans, I told y'all this before the season. Y'all got a clean house, and I think more and more Bears fans are agreeing with me on this. Look, you can want to keep Ryan Pace all you want. Y'all are going to win 4 or 5 games for 2 straight years now. You won 6 games the year before that. You got to get rid of your GM. You don't have a good GM if you have 2-3 years of those kind of records. You don't got a good GM. Okay, that's just the damn truth there, son. We move on to the next game, the LA Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, going to Kansas City facing the Kansas City Chiefs. And this game could very well determine the AFC West. Hell, honestly, I think it kind of will determine the AFC West. And I got the LA Chargers going to Kansas City and beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, I understand that the Chiefs got it done last week. They beat the Oakland Raiders, and that's a cute and nice result. But I still don't think they're playing very well right now. I've seen them lose to the Jets. I've seen them lose to the New York Giants. This isn't a very good team right now in Kansas City. And while the LA Chargers have been playing well, they whooped the Bills' asses. They beat the Browns pretty convincingly, only by 9 points, but I was pretty impressed. They whooped the Redskins' asses. They competed against the New England Patriots. This Chargers team is playing well ever since they got off their bye week, and I expect that to continue all the way to the AFC West crown. Give me the LA Chargers to go to Kansas City and get it done and ultimately win the AFC West. We have the next game. We have the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills, they won that snow fest, that blizzard game last week against the Indianapolis Colts. Good for them. Will they make the playoffs? That's the interesting discussion that we're starting to have. It's close right now between them, the Ravens, and the Tennessee Titans. As for this game, the Dolphins, they also have some wild card hopes. Now, I'm not sure they're going to make it. Okay, in fact, I'll bet that they won't make it. But they're currently, 6-7. They could win their last 3 games, and if things bounce their way, they could be heading to the 2018 NFL playoffs. And they convincingly beat the New England Patriots last Monday night. None of us saw that coming, although the Patriots have struggled in Miami under the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady era. So perhaps we probably should have seen it coming. But regardless, we didn't. Or at least I didn't. Maybe the Dolphins fans out there saw it coming. So with that said, could they now go to Buffalo? Could they get it done in Buffalo? And really, this would be a big win because this would help them in the wild card race. But I can't say it. I see the Bills winning in Buffalo. Miami can win things down in Miami. Okay, but now it's December. They're traveling to Buffalo. This could be another blizzard game for all I know. I haven't looked at the weather report. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't pull up the Weather Channel today, but I'm sure it probably will be snowing, honestly. Probably not the extent it was last week, but it's going to be cold as hell. Okay, so give me the Buffalo Bills to win in Buffalo, to beat the Miami Dolphins in Buffalo. Yes. We move on to the Green Bay Packers at the Carolina Panthers. This is a game I've been looking forward to, as we have the return of the bad man himself, as Stephen A. Smith would say, Aaron Rodgers. He is coming back. He is returning to the football field. He will take on Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. What a game. And this was a tough game for me to predict because I don't know who I want to pick to win here. We have the Carolina Panthers, who last week defeated the Minnesota Vikings, one of the better teams, not only in the NFC, but in the NFL, and pretty convincingly. I mean, the game was tied 24-24. Kedman ran down 60 yards, and they got the game-winning touchdown, but they were in control of that game throughout that game. Okay, so I was impressed by the Carolina Panthers. And more, after the injury to Carson Wentz, we will talk about a little bit more later, you have to be thinking that this Panthers team looks like it might be headed to yet another Super Bowl. Okay, its second Super Bowl in the past 3 years. So we're looking out for this Carolina Panthers team. But for this game, okay, I have to roll with the Green Bay Packers. Look, the last 3 games, the Packers have been playing well with Brett Hundley. Okay, now last week they almost lost to the Cleveland Browns, but they got it done, and they got it done in a fashion that would suggest that maybe there's some football god on their side, man, because they should have lost that game in Cleveland, but then Deshaun Kaiser ended up giving them the game late, and they got it done there. They competed and almost went against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Remember that a couple weeks ago? They got that done. They also beat a team right now that I can't remember. This Packers team has been playing well with Brett Hundley, and now you're throwing Aaron Rodgers back in the fold. And the only game that Aaron Rodgers played throughout and lost this season was week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, in which the Falcons put up 34 points on the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers still put up 23. Can this Panthers team outscore the Green Bay Packers? This Panthers team does one thing great. They run the football really well. Jonathan Stewart runs it well. Cam Newton adds to that punch. And even Christian McCaffrey, who's pretty much a receiving back at this point in the NFL, even he will get involved in the run game. But the Green Bay Packers have a pretty decent run defense. And right now, man, I think Aaron Rodgers is set yet again for another run-the-table epic finish in his NFL career that's going to add to his resume. It just feels like that kind of moment. It just feels right. You can already see it forming. You can already see it starting. The campaign has begun. And I think the Green Bay Packers are going to go to Carolina, get it done, and beat the Carolina Panthers. This I truly believe. Give me the Packers to win this game. Next, give me the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Upset alert, people. Okay, time is running out. Okay, the Cleveland Browns only have 3 more weeks to get a win, and I think they could do it. Okay, this game is against the Baltimore Ravens, who, yes, they've been looking better lately, but we've seen historically this Ravens team can give the Browns chances to beat them, but the Browns never really take advantage. The last time the Browns have beaten the Ravens has been about 3 years at this point, at least. Okay, so I can't really go all in here, but I'm looking out for this game because I think, man, Browns 0-16, it just doesn't feel right. They've been in too many close games, and last year they were even worse team. Like last year's point differential for the Browns, way worse than it was for this year at this point last year. Okay, so it doesn't feel like they should go 0-16 because they're actually better than they were last year, at least point differentially speaking and statistically speaking. So we'll see. I'm holding out hope for the Browns. I'm rooting for the Browns, but I gotta pick the Ravens to win here because they do have the momentum right now. They played well last week against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Should have won that game. They should carry that momentum and win this game in Cleveland, but I'm looking out for Cleveland because they understand time is running out and desperate teams tend to get it done and end up getting at least one win. All right, next game we have the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And unfortunately for me, because I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, the Jaguars are looking pretty consistent right now. We started the season, remember that? We started the season. They were inconsistent. They were winning here, losing there, really weird. They're consistent now. They're getting the job done. And now they're hosting the Houston Texans in Jacksonville. They're going to win this game. I know they lost to Arizona a couple weeks ago. That was in Arizona. Now they're back in Jacksonville where they won last week. They beat the Seahawks pretty convincingly. I expect a similar result here. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars to win at home. Next game, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Minnesota Vikings. And this is an interesting game. Just kidding. The only interesting thing here is that Mike Zimmer is going up against his former team. The former defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer was for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's going to want revenge. Give me the Vikings to win pretty convincingly because of that and that alone, and just because they're better. Okay, the Bengals are not playing well right now at all. Although they've been up and down, right? I mean, they almost beat the Steelers, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Give me the Minnesota Vikings to convincingly beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Next game, we have the New York Jets at the New Orleans Saints. And the Jets, man, I'm looking out for this game because the Jets this season, they've been sneaking around, almost winning these games, winning some games like this. Now, the Saints are a little too buttoned up. Okay, they're a little too buttoned up at this point. They're one of the best teams in the NFL to me. In fact, right now, I'm not lying to you. I'm looking at this team as a potential Super Bowl winner. We'll discuss that moving forward. For this game, give me the Saints, but I'm looking out for the Jets. I think the Jets compete in this game, and they could even pull it out. But right now, the Saints, they just know how to get these games done. So give me the Saints to win this game, at home especially. All right, next game, you have the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. Carson Wentz, man, okay, this sucks for the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is how you know that their franchise is cursed. People, I mean, they finally have an MVP candidate at quarterback. Donovan McNabb was good. He was no MVP candidate like Mr. Carson Wentz. I think he was heading towards the award, and unfortunately now he definitely will not get it, not playing the last 3 weeks of the season. But with that said, people need to understand this. For some reason, this kind of is the year of the backup quarterback. Okay, for some teams like the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans, they get their backup quarterbacks and they're terrible. But other teams like the Minnesota Vikings are able to bring their backup quarterback in the lineup, and they're still able to win games. And in fact, maybe they're even better. Now, that's not going to happen with the Eagles, but I think the Eagles can still be very respectable with Nick Foles. I know Eagles fans, for some reason, they don't like Doug Peterson, which is nonsense. Does this tell you something? No one likes their head coach. The only people that like their head coach in the NFL, Seahawks fans, and even they hate Pete Carroll from time to time. Patriots fans, and that's it. Steelers fans aren't happy. Saints fans weren't happy for the past 3 years. Viking fans, they're pretty happy, but they weren't thrilled last year. No one likes their head coach. If Eagles fans, who are currently, what are they, 11-2, okay, whatever the record, 10-2, whatever, and they don't like their head coach, this is ridiculous. Doug Peterson's good, and he is going to form a nice scheme and game plan for Nick Foles for this game. To the point where I think they're going to blow out the Giants. And I think they're going to blow out some teams as they end this season. There's not many games left, but I think they finished 13-3, this Eagles team, quite honest with you. And I think they even may win one playoff game. But then from there, you know, in the NFC Championship and even in the Super Bowl, yeah, then the other quarterback, the other team will probably beat Nick Foles. I agree there, but this is going to be a formidable team with Nick Foles at the helm. I'm telling you that right now. Give me the Eagles to handedly beat the New York Giants. All right, next game. We have the Arizona Cardinals at the Washington Redskins, and I don't know what the hell is going on with the Washington Redskins. Now, yes, everyone expected the Chargers to beat the Redskins last week. Everyone expected this. No one was shocked by that result, but I was surprised by what poor of an effort the Redskins put forward, and this has been true now for a number of weeks. They barely beat the Giants on Thanksgiving Day. They haven't been performing well all year. They just underwhelmed. They've lost momentum. Things aren't good right now in Washington. Can they at least beat the Cardinals in Washington? Look, I'm not convinced, But I also can't pick the Cardinals here. You know, they're on the road. They're traveling cross country in Washington, D.C. It's cold at this point of the year, so I can't pick the Cardinals here. I'm going to pick the Redskins, but not with confidence. Okay, so I'm going to go with the Redskins here, but again, I would not be shocked at all if the Cardinals pull this out in Washington, D.C. I would not be shocked at all. All right, next game, we have the LA Rams, Los Angeles Rams, traveling to the Seattle Seahawks to face the Seahawks. Now, this is an interesting game here. I actually think the LA Rams are actually the better football team than the Seahawks for the most part. I think if they're facing almost anyone else, the Rams are quite good. But I think the Seahawks are holding something over this football team. There was no real reason why the Rams lost to the Seahawks earlier this year. In LA, the Rams put up 10 points against the Seahawks. Now, this was at a time in the year when the Seahawks had better defensive personnel, okay, when they were healthy, right, when they had Richard Sherman, when they had Cam Chancellor playing on the football field. So I like that aspect, but I also am a little slow to say that this Rams team is ready to take forward or to take a step forward and to finally surpass and usurp the Seattle Seahawks as NFC West champions and to finally defeat them and get it done here. I think the Seahawks still hold something over Jared Goff. I think the Seahawks get in Jared Goff's head. He has not performed well against his football team in his career, and I know last year was kind of a wash for him. This year has not been. And his worst game of the year, I would argue, was against this football team. I think the Seahawks in Seattle get this done. I do think the Rams are a better team against almost anyone else, but for some reason, against the Seahawks, they struggle. Okay, so give me the Seahawks to win this game in Seattle. All right, next game, we have the New England Patriots at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I've been discussing this matchup for the past 2 years. If you remember last year, all right, before the 2016 season, I had the Steelers versus the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, and I had the Steelers winning. And all year, I kept going back to this matchup saying these two teams will be the top two teams in the AFC, and I can't wait to see who wins. In the regular season, the Patriots won, Landry Jones was starting. I said, whatever. When the playoffs rolled around, I changed my prediction. I said the Patriots will win, the Patriots won, and that was it. As we were heading into this year, I said yet again, people, it's going to be Patriots and Steelers, and I told you this time, I really want to pick the Steelers, but I probably just can't do it. Give me the Patriots. But now we're here. Okay, now we're in the regular season matchup, and I still think there's going to be a postseason matchup. For this regular season matchup, I'm finally going to pick the Steelers to beat the Patriots. I'm going to stick to that prediction, at least for the regular season. Now, in the postseason, we'll see what happens. But for this game, the Steelers have been looking forward to this all year long. They've been looking forward to this for the past couple weeks. They've been mentioning this game in press conferences, in interviews, in post-game interviews. They've been talking about looking forward to this matchup. This is their matchup. They've had this matchup circled on their calendar for the past, I don't know how many weeks and months. I think they've been looking forward to this more than they have their own matchup against their own division rival, the Baltimore Ravens. This is the matchup that they've been looking forward to. Patriots, they're coming off of an L against the Miami Dolphins, a Monday night L, giving them only 6 games to emotionally and mentally prepare for this football game. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to get it done against the Patriots in I don't know how many matchups, right? It just has to be about that time. It has to be time for the Steelers to at least beat the Patriots once, because they haven't done so in I don't know how many years. Give me the Steelers to get it done against New England in this game. All right, next game we have the Tennessee Titans at the San Francisco 49ers. And this is an urgent game for the Titans. It's not a panic game, but it's an urgent game. They must show up, and to me, they must win. They don't absolutely have to. If they lose this game, they're not done, they're not finished, but it'll be time to press that damn panic button. The 49ers have been playing better lately. Last week, they won. Week before that, they won. What do both those games have in common? Jimmy Garoppolo, who is undefeated in his NFL career. But this streak must come to an end, and the Tennessee Titans are coming to town, and Marcus Mariota and company are pissed off. Marcus Mariota himself said this in a press conference after his football game last week, in which they lost, the Titans did, to the Arizona Cardinals. If Mariota is saying he's pissed, I'm pretty sure he's pretty pissed, because he never says anything like this. Give me the Tennessee Titans to go to San Francisco and get it done, just off of pure anger from last week's loss. We have the Dallas Cowboys at the Oakland Raiders. Tough game. Initially for me, because you have the Raiders team here that disappointed to me last week against Kansas City, should have performed better, and before that they won 2 straight games. I thought they were ready to make a run, but who they faced, right? They didn't face great teams. They faced the Giants, and was it the Broncos that they also faced? I'm not sure. It wasn't so impressive that they beat. So they had 2 straight wins against teams not very impressive, and then the loss to the Chiefs last week, they weren't very good at all. Okay, whereas the Dallas Cowboys, they beat the Giants last week very convincingly, more convincingly than the Raiders did. Okay, week before that, they beat the Redskins quite handedly as well. This Cowboys team appears ready to roll. Dak Prescott has finally found his momentum without Ezekiel Elliott, and I think this is going to continue to be the case. Okay, and then Ezekiel Elliott will come back next week, and then the Cowboys may make a run at this. We have the Cowboys making a run at this. We have the Packers making a run at this. This NFC race is going to be interesting. It'll be more interesting if I'm wrong and the Rams beat the Seahawks this week. So look out for that matchup. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to go to Oakland and beat the Oakland Raiders this year, because I think Dak Prescott is playing better than Derek Carr right now. I think this Cowboys defense is better than this Raiders defense right now. I think the Cowboys are just better than the Raiders are right now. Give me the Dallas Cowboys. And finally, Monday Night Football game, we have the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Tampa Bay and facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tough game for me, because I just cannot go all in saying that the Falcons are going to sweep the Bucs. Look, I know the Bucs are one of the most disappointing teams this year. I would argue the second most disappointing. I think they've been more disappointing than the Denver Broncos, who are ass. I think they've been more disappointing, because this was a Bucs team I picked to go 9-7. A lot of people picked to go 10-6, 11-5, even 12-4. Very disappointed. And even with Jameis Winston at the helm, they're just not getting it done. The Atlanta Falcons, on the other hand, they've been about where I expected them to be. I picked them to go 10-6 before the year. They're on pace for that. Okay, they're on pace for that. They've been able to go on the road and get games like this done. They went to Seattle. They got it done. They've had games this year where they've gotten it done, even against the odds. This shouldn't be that much of a problem. It's a divisional opponent. And as we saw last week when New England went to Miami, this can present a problem. This could be an issue. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be similar to the Steelers and Bengals game from a couple weeks ago. But similar to that, the better team will win. And give me the Atlanta Falcons to win in Tampa Bay. But it will be close, and I'm not really sure who's going to win. But I like the Falcons' chances better than I do the Bucs' chances. So there you go. Those are my NFL Week 15 picks and predictions. What are yours? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.